Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of HuttCast, Mr. Tim Huttner.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. You can now take your post.
Happy glorious Sunday. Today in studio, we are going to have, well, not in studio, but remotely, a gentleman named Ted Yoder. Now, Ted Yoder plays a very unique instrument, and I wanted to explain to what he does, how he does it, and, well, I mean, just listen to the sounds. In between the segments, I'm going to give you some music taste of it. It's a 96-string instrument that is played like a percussion. Very, very cool stuff on HuttCast. Stand by, we'll be right back.
In today's busy world, staying healthy and alert have become essential for those of us who want to get the most out of ourselves. So before you reach for that energy drink, ask yourself, are you really giving your body the best? If you want the energy without the jitters that commonly come from today's most popular energy drinks, then reach for something better. Reach for Super Fuel. Super Fuel is made by Casmo Incorporated. Super Fuel is a healthy boost. Super Fuel is made with vitamins B6, B12, and taurine, that is a amino acid that aids in weight loss and protects heart tissue. Beetroot powder and other healthy ingredients that will give you a quick, healthy boost. Make Super Fuel a great tasting, low-calorie addition to your daily regimen. Super Fuel by Casmo Incorporated. It can be ordered by visiting our website at www.superfuel.me or calling 833-383-5912. That's right, Super Fuel by Casmo Incorporated at www.superfuel.me or calling 833-383-5912. Super Fuel.
Welcome to HuttCast. Today on HuttCast, we have Ted Yoder on the phone. Now, Ted Yoder is very unique because he's got a certain instrument that is percussive, but yet it's strings. And he's on the phone, and I hope he can kind of clear this up, because once I heard it, and as a fellow musician and engineer, I'm like, you know, this is some really cool stuff. And I think the world needs to hear this. So, Ted, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Okay, can we start out with, what is this thing?
Well, I usually introduce it to people as in one of two ways. One, it's a grandparent to the piano. So this is going back years when all they had was well, they didn't even have a piano. All they had was a harpsichord, and even before the harpsichord was the hammered dulcimer. And
hammered
it
dulcimer
comes from the Middle East, so it's actually the first version of the hammered dulcimer was called a santur, and so it's the grandparent to the piano. Not to get too geeky, but the difference between a harpsichord and a piano is that the harpsichord is actually a plucked instrument, and which doesn't have any dynamics, and the piano, like the hammered dulcimer, is hammers striking strings with different velocity, so you can get a variance in hard or soft sounds. So usually grandparent to the piano. The other way that I kind of introduce it is that a piano and a drum set had a baby, and this is what it is.
Okay. The piano and the drum set had a baby, and this is the child from. I got it.
Yeah, there's a love child of the piano and the drum set.
Now, I was reading about this instrument, and break it up a little slower so I can kind of understand it. You call this a not a scimitar. What was the actual definition of that?
Well, a santur, Santoor.
Okay.
That is now, it looks just like the hammered dulcimer. It's just tuned a little bit differently. Has more of a Middle Eastern sound. It's actually one of the main classical instruments of India. But yeah, that was where the hammered dulcimer started from. Was from the Middle East and the santur. Yeah, is that what you were looking for?
Yes, the hammered dulcimer. That's the term I was looking for.
Oh, okay, hammered dulcimer. Yeah.
Dulcimer. Got it.
Yeah, dulcimer. And there's other kinds of dulcimers. There's something called a lap dulcimer, mountain dulcimer. There's another one that I'm missing, but this is the reason they call it hammered is because I'm actually striking the strings with little mallets, little hammers.
Mm-hmm. And how many strings are on that?
My dulcimer is a little over 5 octaves, and so most of the strings are double strung, and so I have like 126 strings on mine, I believe.
Oh, geez. Wow.
It's not that big of a deal.
Because I was looking up, I saw one for 96 strings. I'm thinking, as a guitar player, a 12-string, you tune those in, you're an octave off, your polyphony range is, static dynamic. It's huge. And I'm looking at yours going 96. Then you said 120?
Yes.
Well, how do you tune that?
Just one string at a time. It's like eating an elephant.
Oh, geez. And how long does it stay in tune?
It depends. It can be a little finicky. They've come a long way. Like my builder and I know some other builders now do they do lacquer on the inside. They're using carbon fiber now in some of the bracing to help, minimize the amount of wood that's being used, but also helps, stabilize the tuning, the swelling and shrinking of the instrument. But mostly you just try and not take it out of air condition and into humidity and, expect it to stay in tune. So it has to acclimate just like, any wood, woodwind instrument. Yeah. Any cellos, violins, that kind of stuff. That's why sometimes when people go to the dulcimer festivals, everybody says there's concert tuning and then there's dulcimer festival tuning. Which pretty much just kind of says you keep it relatively in tune, and that's the best you can do.
Well, let's grab reverse here in a second. How did you get started? Did you say, hey, I'm in grade school, I want to do this? Because most people pick like a traditional instrument. This is like out there. Right.
So I grew up playing piano, started playing piano when I was like 6 or 7, and eventually even got into some guitar. In the early 80s, well, I should say mid-80s, I heard a guy by the name of Rich Mullins play the hammered dulcimer, and he was literally the only person I ever heard. Later on, I got introduced to John McCutcheon. Oh, I'm going to forget the one guy's name. He actually lives in Indiana here. But anyway, that was when I first saw and heard the hammered dulcimer, and it was just...
That was it, huh? You had it.
That was it. It was just enrapturing. I just fell in love with it and just had to get one. Unfortunately, you couldn't just go down to your local guitar center and pick one up. So you had to know a builder who, wasn't even on the internet because the internet didn't really exist at the time. So, yeah, it took me a good 10 years before I even was able to buy one because I just didn't know where to find one. So anyway, tell a short story about it. My wife and I got married in 97, and we moved down to Russellville, Arkansas to play music and be with friends down there. Okay. We had some money left over from some gift money from our wedding. My wife could have bought a lot of different things because we had a card table for a kitchen table. We actually didn't even have a mattress for a bed. We were sleeping on blankets. And our living room had a borrowed couch, and the rest of it was keyboards and guitars. So
the musician life, right?
A simple musician's life.
Yep.
And so my wife had heard that there was this little shop up in a place called Mountain View, Arkansas, that had a hammered dulcimer, and she wanted to take me up there and buy me one as a wedding gift. So that's where it all started.
Wow. So she saw the foresight in this.
Yes, yeah, she has. My wife is the real hero of this whole saga of the last 12 years, 14 years of doing music as a living and doing it on the hammered dulcimer, just because she's been an unwavering support for me. You're a musician. We always hear the stories about the musician's spouse, whether it's the guy or the gal, and my wife has been the total opposite of that for as long as we've been married. So.
Wow. Well,
and she started it.
And yes. Any regrets?
Any regrets?
Does she have any regrets? No? Good.
No.
you gotta realize that our spouses are the ones that have to deal with all the crap that we do during this.
Yeah, that's right.
and good, bad, or indifferent, it's already a ball rolling downhill, so there's no stopping it other than just quitting.
Yep. And that's what we've come to figure out over the years, even when it got hard and before, and then when COVID hit and, you face a pandemic that you never faced before, and you're like, oh my gosh, how do we make it out of this, and we still look at each other and say, well, the only way we stop is if we quit. So let's just keep going.
Right. So how long have you been playing?
I got one in 97. I like to, the first 10 years that I had one, I was a multi-instrumentalist. So this was just one more instrument that I played a few songs on for a long time. And then in 2007, we were living out in Aurora, Illinois at the time, and we're coming back to northern Indiana for Easter weekend to be with family.
Uh-huh.
And we hit a freak ice storm going through northern Indiana in the middle of May, which does happen. And we had a car accident.
No boy.
And thankfully I was the only one that was injured. But that kind of, at the time I wasn't doing music as a living. I was just a flooring installer.
Okay.
And music was just a hobby. So that kind of got me thinking really hard about what I wanted to leave for my children and what kind of legacy and that kind of thing. And taking an honest look and realizing that the reason I wasn't pursuing music was merely because of fear. And I thought that was no way to live. So that's when I started to just really focus on the hammered dulcimer. And I made the promise to myself that no matter how many hours I was working in a day, and no matter how tired I was, I would play my instrument at least 15 minutes a day.
Nice.
9 out of 10 times it ended up being an hour or two, but
yeah.
But I made that promise. Sometimes it was only 15 minutes right before I went to bed, but that was just my promise to myself, and I did that for a year. Yeah. I won the national championship, the Hammered Dulcimer National Championship in 2010.
I read that. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. and that was and so that's when I officially went full time playing the hammered dulcimer and into music. For 2008, 2009 was when I was 2 years of kind of just doing part-time music, working a full-time job, that kind of thing.
How do the floor guys take it? Are they still trying to call you to get floors put in?
Not anymore. It's been too long.
Oh, because once you get that vendor going, I
still get wrangled into my sisters.
Oh, there you go.
Who need some flooring put in.
Right. Got any kids that want to follow in your footsteps?
As far as hammered dulcimer playing, no. It's not that they don't like it. I think by now it's just kind of obviously turned into dad's thing. I do have some musical children. A couple girls are definitely have been in like Broadway plays and musicals, and they all love music. Yeah, they're all just kind of making their own road already.
Good for them.
We never wanted to be that, and I don't say this to badmouth any parent that did, but we weren't those parents that said you have to take a year of piano, you have to take a year of guitar or something like that. We wanted our kids to fall in love with it on their own. So we filled our house with instruments, and if they chose to pick it up, they did.
Yep. Whichever they gravitate toward. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
We were a very musical family. We have a studio, of course, and all this stuff is like, okay, it's here. Do you want to play, or do you just want to listen, or do you just want to be? What do you want to be? And it was difficult to push on. Piano. We have a baby grand. It's a full blown studio, but
nice.
it was difficult to just exactly what you said. You didn't want to be the hover parent and push.
Mm-hmm.
They got to love it if they want to do it, and they never did engage. So I get it.
Yeah.
So let's grab another gear here.
Okay.
Now, when you did this, how long have you been in the doing that full time?
Since 2010.
So 10. So if you were on stage and you were live, did they grab those notes from you while you were playing?
We never did record a live album until last year. It must have been 2021.
Oh, okay.
This is 2022, right?
As far as I can tell.
the pandemic really threw me off. So yeah, we actually, and I say we because now I play with a band, or as a band, I should say.
Okay.
Where for the first 10 years of my career, I was just doing solo dulcimer shows. Yeah, in 2021, we actually were tracking the whole band at all the concerts that we did.
Nice.
And I'm actually just going through them right now, and we're going to release a live CD, hopefully in 2 or 3 months.
Very nice. So do you have a website?
Oh, yes. Yeah, tedyoder.com. We have a link there to our store, and that has all our CDs and merch and Patreon page. I even have some online lessons, video lessons that I've been building up over the years, and so there's a link to that as well.
All right. Are you on Hatebook? Facebook. I call it Hatebook because no matter what you do.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
I call it Hatebook because, again, everybody, you could say blue and everybody's mad at you. So that's.
Yep, I know. Yes, I am on Facebook, and it's kind of, yes, like you and many others, it's a necessity of
right.
It's just a necessity. But yeah, I am on Facebook.
Well, it's if you listen to the music, and I'll play some here at the end of the show, and then I'll wrap the show up with that. But it is phenomenal. The sounds are. Because if you like piano, you're going to love this, and if you like percussion, you're going to absolutely love this. And if you like guitars, I mean, it's like you said, it's this the child of these two instruments, and you're like, wow. Now,
yeah, I really like how people most of the time when they hear me play, just over the years, I've just always heard this. They said it's unbelievable that it's one instrument,
right?
It's making all that music, and that's. Somewhat of the nature of the hammered dulcimer, but it's also, if I can say it without being hubris, it's kind of the way I play it too. So, but that's one of the fun things is, over the years I've tried, especially with my solo work, I've tried to do stuff like Tommy Emmanuel, Andy McKee, Bela Fleck, some of these, well, and I say groundbreaking, they pattern themselves after other people as well. But, just one man or woman with an instrument, and they just make it fun and exciting all by itself.
I listened to one of your performances. That was it was like, was it a Star Wars? What was that one?
Star Wars.
Would it have been a Star Wars?
What are you doing?
It was a motion picture soundtrack thing, and it was awesome.
Gosh, I wonder which one I did.
You were in some backyard, tree behind you. It was just, okay, here we go. You're warming up, you're cracking your knuckles, and wow, what a excellent performance.
Are you you're not talking about Everybody Wants to Rule the World?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be. It
probably would be the one. That's my most popular song. My most well-known song, anyway.
Well, it is a very good song. Now, did you send that to the Dropbox so I could play it? Did you professionally record that one?
I can't remember if I did.
Because if
I put it in there.
If you had studio time with that one would be the ultimate. It's total badassery.
Okay. Well, I can. Yeah, I didn't know how much music you wanted. I think I ended up just putting all original songs in there, so I can throw in a couple cover tunes. Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Eleanor Rigby.
Oh, yeah.
Is another one that's a big fan favorite, Dust in the Wind.
Yeah. Really, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'll throw some stuff in there for you.
Well, then, I'll make sure and get whichever one you want out there. I'll pick the originals. Those were awesome. Now, what do you have to say to people, kids, the mentorship of this instrument to them? What would you tell these people? Because we're in 51 countries, and we have a ton of downloads. And not to mention, we have 43 to 40-some million viewers. I don't know why they want to listen to some guy in his basement, but here we are. and they really reach out. I mean, of course, we were in Russia, but they turned that off.
Oh, yeah, right.
What do you got to say to these kids? What would you tell the students, the people, the kids, if they want to get into this type of instrument?
The good thing is there is probably a form of hammered dulcimer in every region or country, and so it is definitely readily available. And it's just what you'll find is it's just tuned to, shall I say, the culture, the music culture that wherever they live. So the tuning will be a little bit different and stuff like that. The tone of the instrument will be a little bit different,
okay,
but it's generally the same kind of instrument. The other thing I would say is I would encourage them, first play something that you love. There's one reason. Not only did I just feel like I was a soulmate for this, to this hammered dulcimer, this type of instrument, and that's why I dropped piano and guitar and everything else for it. Also, this is such a unique sound. Once people hear it in person, it is one thing. They'll hear it and just go, "Oh my gosh! It just has a sound like no other instrument."
It's magical.
You can say it sounds something like this and that, but it captures people. And then if they actually get to play one, it's just thoroughly engaging.
Wow.
You get to smack it with these little hammers, and
Okay.
the sound that comes off of those strings is just, like you said, magical. It's otherworldly.
Right.
If you're going to pick an instrument to play, pick something that's not guitar and piano. I mean, for me, I was mid-30s when I started doing this as a living, late 30s actually, and there were 10 and 12-year-olds that could outplay me on guitar and piano. I had no chance.
Right.
So, it made sense for me to pick that out, even business-wise. But the main reason was I just love it. It's worth all the time that I have to tune it and the care that I need to give it and all that kind of stuff. It's just worth it. It's a magical, beautiful instrument. I hope if anybody is musical and they're listening to this, I hope they are able to get their hands on one sometime and just try it. I almost guarantee they'll want to buy one.
Wow. Now, do you do gigs, shows? Are you hireable?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. We do. I still do solo shows, and but I also play with a band now. We started a band just called Yoder Band.
Okay.
Back in early 2020, late 2019 was when we started that. Of course, right before the pandemic hit. Yeah, I play with a drummer and his wife. She plays marimba, and then we have a bass player, a fretless bass player. And so, yeah, it's almost an all percussion band.
Wow.
With drums, marimba, and hammered dulcimer, and then but I hope people enjoy it. The hammered dulcimer itself, at least here in America, has kind of a tradition of mountain music. I didn't grow up with that tradition, so when I first got a hammered dulcimer, the first thing I started playing on it was Billy Joel, Elton John, stuff that I played on the piano.
Right.
Journey.
Yeah.
These were piano, or these were groups I listened to, rock and roll, and Eagles, Don Henley, Tears for Fears, So
Tears for Fears. That's the one. That's the one I heard you play.
I'll send that to you for sure.
Oh, that's an awesome one. You couldn't mistake it, and the dulcimer made it magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you said it, but that's the one.
I do gigs, and like I said, we do it as a band, and we do it, and I do it as solo as well. Still.
Where's your area of operation?
I live in northern Indiana, just about 10 miles south of the Michigan border, and if musicians know where Sweetwater Sound is, I live an hour from Sweetwater.
Everybody knows where Sweetwater is.
Everyone knows that.
Guitar Center, Sweetwater, take your pick. Okay. They can get a hold of you through the Facebook. They can get to your website. They can book you. So, again, what is your distance, your radius range? Where do you want to stay within?
Oh, we go everywhere. I've traveled down to Brazil.
Oh, geez.
I've not yet made it over to the UK, but I would love to. If there's any booking agents listening to this over in the UK,
There are. We have a lot of UK.
we actually have a pretty good following because of the viral video, the Tears for Fears song. We're really big in Brazil and the UK. So yeah, we go anywhere. So it's, just give us a call.
We'll put this into a format. You'll have a separate link. It's a pre-link, and it'll come out on Sunday at 5 o'clock. But if you want to put it on your site, that would be wonderful. Please do.
Okay.
And let's see if we can get some more coverage for you. This way we can both push our numbers up. Why not? It's just a win for both of us.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, we are 26.43 into this segment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let HuttCast out today with his songs. And if you want to drop that Tears for Fears one, that would be good, or whatever one you want to get out on. I'll leave you a 5-minute window so people can hear it. This is the first, believe it or not, as a musician, this is the first music thing I've ever done on HuttCast.
Oh, wow.
And you talk to the guys, you've played with big players, you've done the deal, and you're like, okay, I don't want to talk music. But when I heard this, it was like sideways for me. I went, wow, I have to talk to this guy. Because like you said, it was magic. We got it. Like, okay, now how do we get this to work? How do I talk to him? And wow, what a great deal. So anything you want to add before we pull the pin here?
Oh, man, if you're, I guess what I would say, I just want to give a little bit more encouragement for any musicians out there who have been doing this for a while, who maybe are considering calling it quits. Just to give them a little bit more background, I actually have 7 children, so we have a big family. When I started to do this full time, we actually had 5 kids, and that's not the time that anybody would say, yeah, you need to start a music career. They
Right.
always say you're supposed to start young.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't in the cards for me when I was young, for whatever reason. It's just I guess what I want to tell you and encourage anybody out there, if you have a desire to share your music, I'll say with the world, but just even with whatever region you're in, there's a reason that's in there. There's a reason that desire's there, and just follow it as long and as hard as you can. And it really doesn't matter if we reach millions of people, like Justin Bieber, or I don't know who else, Dave Matthews Band. It doesn't matter if you're just playing for 30 people at your VFW.
Okay.
Just your music is there, your voice is there for a reason. And as long as you have a desire to play it, find a way to play it and just keep doing it over and over again. You're going to be reaching lives. You're going to be blessing people with peace, joy, all the good things. You are doing. I once heard somebody say, musicians do for others what they can't do for themselves when it comes to emotion and connecting with their inner person. And
Wow.
I always thought that was so cool, because it really is true. Whether you're a jam band and you play upbeat music all the time, or whether you play meditative music, there's a season for all that. So just keep doing what you're doing. The world needs you.
Well, that was very
especially now more than ever.
right, especially now, and that was very well said, and it's a good hearty note. Thank you for that. Okay, HuttCast is going to pull the pin. We are 30 minutes, 20 seconds into this segment, and I'm going to leave you with this. Thank you again, Ted, very much, and for HuttCast, we'll catch you next time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for HuttCast. HuttCast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for HuttCast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.